In progress.
All right. Thank you, Tim. This is part two of my interview with Tim Blake. Welcome again to the show, man. Very nice talking to you, man. Very nice to be here.
Do we have to put on funny voices like the lady who said that the recording was in progress?
I want to ask you a couple of questions about some album. What recollection do you have from Wendy Carlos' Christian Bach?
Well, when you learn music, and I told you I was lucky enough in my last 3 years at school to have a music teacher who actually did teach me a lot. One of the rare teachers who taught me something, and particularly because I'm not a piano player, we did harmony. Now, when you do harmony, what they teach you is not harmony, but how Bach did harmony.
I got you.
Because Bach is the rule book. Where it is true that Bach gives us walking basses. So it brings us straight to jazz. Perhaps I should turn the piano on, I don't know. But while it is true that Bach gives us this, at the same time, the way a guitar player plays a chord is forbidden.
Yep.
Because it's got parallel thirds and parallel fifths in it, right? So at the same time, it's interesting to learn what Bach thought. Rock music pisses all over it, right? But synthesizer music doesn't piss all over it. And Carlos's Bach is perfect Bach, Obviously, it's not my favorite bit because it's Beethoveniana, my favorite bit of Carlos.
Yeah.
I will still play this. It's something I always used to use when testing out PA systems. Some people put on AC/DC. I would put on the Carlos Beethoveniana, despite it being fairly lo-fi, because recording, multi-track recording at that time wasn't as good as it would be now, But so it's a bit noisy and a bit missing in the top end, the exciting part. But Beethoveniana is, it's one of the 7 pieces of music I would take to a desert island if I got asked that question,
Sure.
So there's an eternal love with Carlos. I might add, Tomita Sadness had more effect than Carlos, because Carlos tickled me pink on music I knew about.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I wasn't aware of Debussy.
Gotcha.
I wasn't aware of Debussy, and Tomita made me aware of Debussy, and Debussy made me aware of Eric Satie, and that's really where I'm at.
I got you.
The only piece of classical music I perform when I'm playing the piano is the Gnossienne, the first Gnossienne of Eric Satie's, because the way that's written is the way I can get on with music.
Yeah, no. What about Tangerine Dream? The album that I know you like, Faedra.
Did I like?
Yeah. What recollection you have of Tangerine Dream? And any album in particular?
I wasn't hearing you well. Say it again.
What recollection do you have for Tangerine Dream, the band? And then any album in particular that you like? I think you mentioned somewhere Faedra or Rubicon or...
One you have to know, well, you don't have to know, but it happens to be a fact.
Yeah.
When Tangerine Dream were in the Manor recording Phaedra, one, Gong lived 10 miles away, right? Two, the cook at the Manor was my girlfriend Bridget, and when Tangerine Dream were at the Manor, I was sitting in the corner of the control room while they did Phaedra. So, we're both friends.
Wow.
You see, I met Tangerine Dream. They were supporting Gong in concerts in France in 1973. And Klaus as well, and Agitation Free, and Can, I think, too. And there was a guy in France, Assa Debs, who was dealing with the Germans, and he was also dealing with Nico, who also coincidentally is German. So, and Nico was one of our crowd when I first came to France, One of the first gigs I was doing sound on was Nico Lou Reed John Cale gig in Paris in 1972, which you can find on YouTube because they made a teleprogram out of it,
Good.
But this is the crowd. This is I'm 19, and I'm and I meet all these people. Fantastic.
Wow. What about Jean-Michel Jarre, Oxygen, 1976?
Well, I've met Jean-Michel 3 times. He's a very nice guy. First time I met him, wasn't very flattering for him. And this was before Oxygen came out. But, and I wasn't introduced to him as a musician because I was working on a lighting thing.
Yeah.
It was for giant projection, And someone suggested his music to the head of the team who was doing this. And the guy basically told him to fuck off, which wasn't very polite. But that's the first time I came across the guy. But they ended up working together. So, it's strange, isn't it? And I met Jean-Michel when I got a prize with Hawkwind because he was there. And I met him again in the streets in Paris one day, which was really enjoyable meeting. But now, Jean-Michel Jarre has made some of the most popular synthesizer records ever. Some of them are very good in as much as it is formed a proper synthesizer band.
Yeah.
Play the music and the lives, are really good.
Yep.
The first live he ever did was special because the tape broke and he didn't know. But that was a bit funny. As I mentioned to you, it was an unpleasant experience for me to see him on the Place de la Concorde with technology that came out of our little thought place. But at the same time, Oxygen, what an incredibly popular record.
Yeah.
Why is it so popular?
Well, I like it. I don't know.
I'm not a musician, but
What do you think?
What do you think?
What I think, if you don't play it on synthesizers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what instruments would you play it on?
Piano.
No,
No.
No.
not me.
Yeah.
Something more French.
You. No, I don't know.
I don't know.
I would have it performed by an accordion band.
Accordion. Okay.
Okay.
Okay? Ah, 1 minute. What's Jean-Michel Jarre's first instrument?
Good idea. No idea.
He's an accordion player.
It's accordion. I know he.
So is Michel Geiss, his right-hand man. When I've seen Michel Geiss with a keyboard, he's actually playing with buttons.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
They're accordion players. And listen to it. Da 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 dum dum dum. Da 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 dum 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 dum. It's accordion music. And accordion music is essentially popular.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So whether you play it on synthesizers or on mouth organs, it's great. It's popular music, which cuts across cultures and class. There's something fantastic about popular music, in the psychedelic world, we're so snob, but popular music is something really good,
Yeah. I read somewhere that you work as a sound
engineer as well.
I think at the beginning.
Or
You work as a sound
engineer.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Any particular section
that you can
remember that epic sessions
or
I started off in studio work.
Yeah.
Doing overdubbing on films.
Yeah.
This is particularly boring work, right? But basically, you're cutting loops of film.
Yeah.
And you've got an X on one frame, and you've got a beep, which is on the audio head at the same time as the X, so you can sync it up. This is before all these complicated digital synchro systems, and using an aggregator, you had the same quartz time base on the projector and on the tape recorder, and recording people speaking. So it's not really, nothing memorable there, but this is the way you learn technique. And of course, this is exactly the same technique with which people were doing music. Delia Derbyshire, we spoke about in our last discussion. Pierre-Henri, musique concrète, because it comes from cinema. In fact, if you look at a modern sequencer, Logic or whatever it is, Pro Tools, whatever it is you use to record music on, it actually looks like the bottom half of the screen of a cinema studio.
Gotcha.
There's complete liaison between coming up to digital sound today and cinema, And I learned in the cinema end. We did some sessions with kind of folk singers, Nadia Catous, and I learned how to put the microphones and, how you could change the EQ by moving, what you learn when you're an apprentice, And then the most important session for me was in early 1972 when I was called to go to Marquee Studios to help a certain Daevid Allen mixing Banana Moon, and after that I went off to France, so that is a,
Sure.
a key moment of my, and the definite, I mean, what I was doing in hanging about studios
Yeah.
was learning to record sound and learning the idea of having a mixing desk.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't done in sound on stage. No one had mixing desks. Now, by the time I was ready to go to France, I had mixing desk on my PA system. I had High Tide, who had an electronic violin. Very hard to get that to cut across the guitar. So I was mixing, and I was mixing Kevin, and I was mixing, I wasn't mixing Hawkwind, curiously enough. I was mixing all the other bands in that group, Skin Alley, High Tide in particular. High Tide was a very, very, very good group, ahead of its time, and lost forever. But Simon did Hawkwind, then he did David Bowie, and now he's lost forever again. Tony, I've no idea. I think he's retired completely from music, but High Tide was as good as the Mahavishnu Orchestra, but 6 years too early,
I got you. This is a very good album of yours. The Tie of the Century.
Up and up. I mean,
like it.
You come down to it, if you ask 200% of the Timberlake fans what album they like most, they'll probably say New Jerusalem.
Probably all over the world.
But if you want to know the one I like most, I like The Tide of the Century. It's completely impractical record because, in fact, what it is, it's me learning to make records on computers.
Gotcha.
Right? And it took me 6 years to do, because it actually went through 3 computer systems. It was started on an Atari like Magic as a MIDI project.
Magic.
And then it turned into an Atari Falcon project with audio, and that wasn't very practical. It didn't work very well. And I was working with a friend of mine who's now dead, Christian Boulet, but you'll find him on one of Clear Light Records and on Steve Hillage, Live Herald. He was playing in Steve Hillage band in 76, 77. And I was working with Christian, and he had a Macintosh computer, and he said, 1 minute, I must say no to that. Can you just stop the recording?
No problem.
Continue.
Recording in progress.
Right. Sorry, I'm lost. That was one of the old boys.
We're talking about that album.
That was Twink from Here and Now. And he even played in my place in Hawkwind once. I don't know what he wants, but we'll find out later. Very strangely, I like the fact with the internet brings very old friends closer because I live very out of the
Far away,
way.
yeah.
And it's quite nice. Twink actually comes here from time to time because his mother-in-law lives that way and he lives that way. So, I'm in the middle.
This is another very good album.
Very good album.
Yeah, one minute, we were talking about Tide though.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
And Christian was saying to me a lot, right. So I'm making recordings with Christian Boulet and I'm using his Macintosh system.
Gotcha.
And he's saying to me, you really should get one of these. And I said to him, look, if it was possible to go from MIDI, record the audio, mix it, press a button and get a CD out, yeah, I'll buy one of these. Otherwise, it's just more bullshit and yet another computer system to learn.
That's right.
And he said, yeah, I suppose you're right. And I was doing a track for Christian. And I had some synths, and we had some drums, and synth bass, and we had some guitar, and we had some singing. And I'm doing this. I said, yeah, well, look, what we really want, I should record each of the synths. So I'm recording each synth into audio.
Yeah.
I'm doing, yeah, you see, we can mix this like this. And he said, oh, that sounds good. Yeah, let's have it like that. So I kind of say, render. And I said, yeah, well, there it is. It's rendered. And I go to a disc and Christian is looking. And I said, there you go, there's your song. He said, do you realise what you've just done? I said, actually, no. What have I just done? He said, you've recorded in multi-track, you've mixed, and you've made a CD in one
Take, one CD. Yeah.
in one sitting. Yeah, let's do this now in one go.
Yeah.
And he said, that's just cost you a lot of money, mate, because you're going to have to buy a Mac now. And I did, And then,
That's right.
and finally, we actually got to a point in Tide of the Century where I suffered my first computer crash.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sorry.
And got into all sorts of things about backing up. I mean, I really learned the ins and outs of virtual recording on the Tide of the Century. And there's a lot of singing on the Tide of the Century. Not everybody enjoys when I'm singing. If I was Cherry Red, which I'm not, but I would have made an album of the music of Tim Blake and the songs of Tim Blake, two different. That's the box sets I would have done. But,
That's right.
Yeah. Though I'm the only person to think that way, and I think the actual song, "The Tide of the Century," is one of my best songs.
That's what I'm saying.
It's up there with Lighthouse. We were talking about Lighthouse in our
yes,
last session. It's also quite important for me because one, the Tide of the Century was a moment and I went through it and I lived it. But do you know what happened?
No.
And because I already lived through the highest tide of the last century, living by the sea, but on the highest tide of this century, which was in the first year, 2001, my daughter was born.
Right, good for you.
Now, I knew this in the 6 years I was making the record, what the ending was going to be. And it worked out fine. And that's the really important thing about Tide of a Century for me, you know, is there's a new age coming for the next 2,000 years, you know.
I got you. This is the other album
that was
I like this record.
yeah, it's different though.
It's different though.
Huh?
I like it too.
I like it too.
Everything, but
But
it's different than the other one.
Why do you like it so much? Their music too.
Well, I think the person who's spoken best about this record is in fact Johnny Green of Gas, who is neither a friend nor a foe, just someone I have to deal with, but not by choice. Huh?
I got you, yeah.
So, which is not a good situation. Huh? But I have to deal with Johnny, and so I do. And he wrote a review. He said, perhaps this is the only Tim Blake record one should ever listen to, or it's a niche. But probably it's the first, you know. The people who are fans of what we call musique planante,
Yeah,
I think this is my best record.
yeah.
It's the only multi-track recording I've made of pure synthesizer music.
I got you.
And I'm very, very, very proud of it. And what I like in particular about this record is that it was a commission. And there was a cahier de charge to respect. So if you look at your record now, which it must be said, Rita, we have left the box set now. We're probably getting into the next one.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
But Chaldea, do you know what Chaldea is?
No idea.
No idea.
Ignorance.
You should definitely look it up.
Yeah, I will look it
I
up.
will look it up.
On the web. Chaldea is a spa.
Let's see.
That's it.
But it doesn't sell it means hot water, does it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Chaldea, hot water.
Chaldea, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Andorra, so it's Spanish speaking.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Or Catalan speaking, you know, quite a bit of, you know, Basque. That's
right.
Right.
But, and I remember going to Italy by plane from Paris, because I go almost once a year to Italy. And I remember going by plane from Paris. No, it wasn't. It was from Lyon. But we crossed over Andorra. And I was looking out the window, and you can see the sun shining on Chaldea because it's a crystal city built by a French architect, Jean-Michel Jarre. You've got his name on the record sleeve.
That's
And,
right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
and it's what they call a thermoludic center. That's to say, they're not selling thermalism medically, they're selling it for playfulness.
I got you.
Okay? But you have all the normal expositions to water in different conditions that you would expect in a thermal spa. There is one massive big pool in which the custom is just to float.
Good.
And in the middle of this album, there's 20 minutes of floating.
I got you.
And there's waking up again in the jacuzzis, which get more and more powerful as you change, you know.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
More important, the beginning music, which is played again at the end, was designed as a show. Every hour, this would come on, and they had lights and the water, and you had a fountain show. So, and I went because I was living in Brittany. I was very astonished to notice that Andorra is very Galice influenced.
But
And Galice is a Celtic culture. And the thing that works in Celtic culture, I should know, I'm a Celt, is bagpipes. I did the opening of the Chaldear with electronic bagpipes, and the version at the end, it's done with real flutes and real bagpipes by my friend Conan Mevel, who is the bagpipe player from Trian, a very famous French group of the Breton Celtic culture. And as it happens, the record company who were going to distribute this product first, you know, because I gave them a 3-year right, you know. This record company also promoted Andorra and Galice folk music with a bagpipe player, so they got on the trip very well. That was but they didn't sell many records. You know, I think they only sold them in the centre.
I got you. Yeah.
You know, and well, you know, after 3 years their license goes, and I took it over, and this is now in the Cherry Red archive.
That's sure. What about this guy?
Well,
This is pretty good too. No guitar.
if I unless I've forgotten something, I think that's the last album I made, isn't it?
Yeah, no guitar is
too simple. You have to understand what the trip was.
right. This 20, yeah, no guitar. And then you did the Lighthouse and Anthology.
Yeah.
This was this was from 2012, and then another was released, the Lighthouse and Anthology from 73 to 2012.
Yeah, but they've got the dates wrong actually, because there's music. It's more, Lighthouse is more like 72. I don't know why they, you know, they don't ask me about these things. It would be, you know, a phone call or an email would be so much easier. But, you know, I mean, I've only just got a copy of this.
That's right.
That's right.
But it's, there's two things about this, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'd actually started using guitars from Magic onwards. There is actually a video somewhere of me performing in Kansas City, the Magic set.
I need to check it out.
With a guitar. Now, the reason for this being that with one Atari computer, with a hard disk, which made it revolutionary, I could use computers in the towns I went to and travel with one box with a guitar in it and my data and this famous rack. So my touring equipment came small. Now, when we were doing the orchestra thing. I just released thing just before the tide of the century, okay? And I'm playing with Hawkwind. Now, if you know the tide of the century, in the song The Tide of the Century, there's a moment where I play a solo on the guitar. And yeah, it's the sound of rock. No, some people like it. The only people who hate it are guitar players. Yeah. Enough said. Jan Hammer had the same problem in the jazz world, you know. And when we were doing rehearsals for orchestra, right, Dave and the then Hawkwind have been rehearsing the whole repertoire all the time so they could play any number. And then we go to London and they've invited all these Hawkwind musicians to come and rehearse in this rehearsal studio. And the first day arrives, and because I've got a lot to set up, I'm setting up my stuff. And Lemmy's technicians arrive and they set up his stuff, you know. And then everyone arrives bit by bit. And what happens is they all go off to the pub with Nick. Oh, I haven't seen you for 40 years, you know. Ah. And there's Richard, the drummer, Lemmy, Dave Brock and myself in the rehearsal studio. So what do? We start rehearsing.
Right.
I've got a photo because Dibbs, who was there as a technician at the time, he took a photo of this because it was quite an amazing thing. And I'm hidden behind Lemmy, you know. And you know, what shall we play then? Oh, well, are you doing Masters of the Universe? You know, I am the master. Fine. Now, when Master of the Universe peters off after the first verse, the bass leads back in again.
Yeah.
And there should be a burning guitar solo.
Yep.
Yep. But where were all the guitarists? Down the pub.
Oh, yeah.
So I take the very same sound as I used on Tide of the Century and replace the missing notes. Everyone just keep at it, playing, we finish, and Lemmy, who is never surprised about anything, ever, yeah, he's going, Tim, was that you? Huh, keyboards, I hate keyboards. You can do what you like with keyboards, can't you? Yeah, and the idea was born. And it was born there. Yeah, it was Lemmy who had the idea. In fact, well, it was me who did it, but Lemmy who drew attention to the fact.
Gotcha.
And there's just Dave and Richard with us, and Dave and Richard, friends, you know. Yeah. Dave's been a friend of mine since 1969, and Richard since he joined Hawkwind, because, you know, literally in the past 30 years, every time I've been Hawkwind way, Richard's been doing the drums, you know. Before him, it was Ginger Baker, you know. And, yeah. Oh,
Do you miss looking back in your life, playing, touring, playing live music? Not really.
Not really.
I no longer like playing live music by myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like playing live music with my friends because they're my friends, and that's what friends do. We play music together.
Sure.
That really is it. I've done what I needed to do, and it wasn't my choice. It's mostly because my ideas were being rejected, but I ended up doing them myself. But now I really do prefer playing music with friends.
Yeah. What about going to Japan?
Well, you see, once again, we're a few days off the 20th anniversary. We come to my car accident. And for a year, I couldn't walk after my car accident.
Yeah.
And it also had administrative problems for me. And so my car accident, which was in 2004, on last day of May, which is Pentecostal Sunday, and boy, did I see the light. When this was over, which would be about 2007, the first people to come to my house were Dave and Chris, because they used to enjoy camping holidays in France, and I was always the first stop. You fill up with water.
Sure.
And oh, you can stand. I said, well, just about, and can you play that? And I said, well, yeah. And it was also them meeting the theremin for the first time. And the next thing I know, I'm back in Hawkwind. And a very good thing too, because I probably would have never performed again. If they hadn't pushed me. And it was a challenge playing standing up, you see.
Absolutely.
2 years after they said, you might never stand up again. Because I was in a wheelchair for a year.
Difficult. How you doing physically nowadays? You doing all right?
Not too bad. Why I'm mentioning all of this is because to make a private note of this is the no guitar record. And that's just for the joy of playing that kind of music. But it still is playing by yourself, and I don't like this, really. I suppose what I would really like to do, something that would turn me on, is doing a tour playing the no guitar music with a power trio. No, bass, drums, synths and me.
That would be great.
Well, yeah, it would. Yeah. That would, well, I'm an old man, so this would be burying my rock and roll fantasies.
Yeah. You should go for it, man.
Well, I'm victim of two kinds of fantasies. I'm Karl-Heinz Stockhausen on one side of me, and I'm Prince on the other side,
I see.
And it's always been difficult to manipulate between the two.
The two, right?
I think Peter Gabriel has. After the Glastonbury meeting, he finished slow, of course, and that's what it is, and it's huge. But he then went and did the Passion.
The soundtrack, the film score.
That's an incredible record.
Oh, absolutely.
And so he actually manages to combine his Karl-Heinz Stockhausen complex with being Prince, because, when he knew how to do this very well. I suppose it's in all of us, really, you know, or at least those of us who choose to work in these domains.
All right, team. I need to get going now, but I will connect with you again on Monday, and we do the final part 3.
I'm hip, you know, but then, yeah, we'll drop it. But
You do well, man. You stay fit. Are you eating well, Tim?
huh?
Are you eating well? You staying fit? Are you eating well? Good food. Are you staying fit?
I have a reputation among certain people.
Yeah.
I would say, as far as art is concerned,
Yeah.
it's possible that music is not the best art I do, or is not the art I do best.
Which is the one that you do the best?
I cook.
Cook? All right.
And it's true that music has made us live
Yeah.
on and off, not very well, but it has got us through. But if you don't eat, you die.
That's right. Yeah.
It is also an art form which keeps you alive. I am not vegetarian, which surprises people because I was.
I got it.
New Jerusalem is a vegetarian album. Crystal Machine is a vegetarian album.
I got you.
Live 79 and Levitation are vegetarian albums for me, but not for Hawkwind. And
I got
then 40 years later, Dave is vegan and I'm not. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
But I did meet a cook who did have a lot of influence on me. And so, my only reply to do I eat well is as well as I could. A lot of Asian cooking in my trip.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
I kind of fuse between French, Japanese and Chinese somehow, you know, I mean, but yeah, you know, look,
You're doing well.
I'm not too fat. I can still move about. I have no problems of doing 15 kilometers to and from shops on my bicycle.
All right.
That keeps a man fit, you know. But I'm not as fit as Dave, and Dave's 10 and a half years older than me. Yeah. But he has been ill before going on his last tour. And
The last tour, yeah. All right, team. It was very nice talking to you, and I will ping you on Monday, man.
Everyone else is dead, of course, you know.
Thank you very much, man.
You be careful.
You too. Thank you. Thanks again, man.
Yeah.